Okay, welcome viewers to this channel PNG Tube. In this segment, we are going to talk about and analyze what the title says. Ibrahim Traore, Captain Ibrahim Traore, message to the UN. So that's what it's all about. So let's just go ahead and hear what he has to say.
Honorable delegates, heads of state, leaders of nations, distinguished representatives of peoples great and small, I greet you not as a career diplomat, nor as a man bred for banquet halls and handshakes. I do not come to you speaking the rehearsed language of polished politics. I come to you as a soldier of my people, as a guardian of a wounded land, as a son of a continent that has carried the cross of the world, yet has never worn its crown. My name is Captain Ibrahim Traore, President of Burkina Faso, and today I speak not only for the 22 million souls in my nation, but for a continent whose stories have been twisted, whose pain has been ignored, and whose dignity has been repeatedly auctioned off at the altar of foreign interests. Africa is not Tobago. Africa is not a battlefield. Africa is not your experiment, your puppet, your warehouse of raw materials. Africa is rising not to kneel, but to stand. And today I say before this great assembly of nations, Africa will not kneel. One on the false generosity of global politics.
Okay, let's pause this one and dissect it. Okay, he's really eating against the Western powers. This president, this young president, he's got balls and is bold enough to do that, especially for third world country like us. I mean, Papua New Guinea and Burkina Faso, we ain't different in any way, no whatsoever. We are black countries and we are both resource rich, just like the whole continent of Africa. So you see, he's bold enough to say what he has to say against United Nations. And United Nations, it was created by the Westerners. So let's just get on with it and hear what he has to say.
For decades you have sent us aid with one hand while extracting our lifeblood with the other. You build wells in our villages while your corporations drain our rivers. You donate vaccines, yet patent the cures. You speak of climate action, yet continue to fund the very forces that burn our forests and dry our lakes. What kind of generosity is this? The kind that feeds the mouth but silences the voice. The kind that keeps a man alive just enough to keep him dependent. We are not blind to this hypocrisy. Let me be clear, we are not ungrateful for sincere humanitarian assistance, but we reject a global order that disguises exploitation as partnership.
Okay.
Disguises exploitation as partnership. We reject financial institutions that lend with one hand and steal sovereignty with the other. Africa no longer wants charity. We want justice.
Okay.
We want control.
Let's pause that. He said financial institutions, so he's talking about World Bank and IMF. So that's what they do to third world country like us. Those institutions were purposely designed for countries like us, and that's what currently happening in Papua New Guinea too. So along the way, this video is for Papua New Guinea audience. So pamit talk to na bamblarim na skeleton thing. You like, comment, subscribe, share, put it in the blagoran. You may look at this la I'm gonna suppose la video alright, request for more and we can do reviews on that, and skeleton thing come. Media freedom, give me try. Okay. Let's get on with it.
For our own destinies. Two on the chains of colonialism and its modern descendants. Our wounds did not begin with us. They were inherited legacies of an empire-building madness that saw us not as humans, but chief as cargo laboratories. My ancestors were not consulted when maps were drawn with rulers and compasses in Berlin. The borders of Burkina Faso, like those of many African nations, were not carved by our ancestors, but by men who had never stepped foot on our soil, who knew nothing about languages, our tribes, or our spirits.
Whoa.
Today, colonialism has a new face. It wears suits, it hosts forums, it signs contracts in Geneva and Paris and Washington.
PNG, I'm just one kind of semi-blood soul, yeah. All ancestors blame me, all no saw what is something on them without consent law, all just put them on land demarcation, and men with suits from somewhere, they just go in and then write off immolation without our consent. So that's what's happening, You mean skeleton thing, yeah. Look how far I'm digesting or something, I don't want to, write your comments down, subscribe, and let's just get on with it, okay?
But it still takes without consent. It still dictates instead of dialogues. It still silences instead of listening. If you want to talk about peace, then let's begin by unlearning the arrogance that Peace is something only you can teach us. 3. On resource exploitation and the myth of development. They call us developing as if the theft of centuries did not set us back, as if the gold from our lands, the diamonds from our rivers, the oil beneath our feet did not build the very skyscrapers in which this assembly sits. Let us speak plainly. Burkina Faso is rich, Africa is rich in minerals and culture and wisdom and youth, but you have taught us to measure richness in GDP and export value. You call it development when a foreign company owns 90% of a gold mine on our land. You call it progress when your security forces guard cobalt mines but not our children's schools. That is not progress, that is piracy with legal documents. From now on, we will define development on our own terms. Development that puts children in classrooms, not minerals on cargo ships. Development that respects the land, the people, and the soul of a nation. 4. On sovereignty and interference. Why is it that when an African nation makes independent choices, we are called unstable? Why is it that when we seek military cooperation outside the colonial sphere, we are labeled a threat? Burkina Faso has chosen to walk a path of sovereignty that is not a threat to peace. It is a declaration of adulthood. We are no longer under your guardianship. We are no longer your junior partners in diplomacy. We are a free people. If a nation chooses partners that respect...
Man, this president is really bold. I think he's got balls big enough than anyone or some leaders they're not nowhere near him. I'll give you an example. Also, man will talk dictator now when something about dictator by Western media about portray him, but what he's doing is patriotic. Now I'm thinking sovereignty blame, na dignity blame, na country blame, or people blame. So in order you kind of say working kind of bold decent or same, there has to be a military government in place, kind of same. So all joint venture and all Sahel state, Niger and Mali or neighboring state. Yeah, so they are known as Sahel states. All breakaway or ECOWAS, all sample country in West Africa, economic group or kind of same. It's designed by again Westerners. So you see, I'm local police, and if you got one military government lo country, you got army or same, and hard lo dictate you, all line outside like but look at me lo PNG, we are weak, so they can just come in and do whatever that pleases them. It's always their interest. All loan money come now, whatever, but it's not ours. And then they outside leaders stop, become puppets, and that's how things go. You may try to dissect all things in a you got to layers. So we don't just look at what corruption is happening in our country. Kind of say, okay, James Marape, Alan Bedol, opposition. Sometimes we try to look at the bigger picture. So another example would be kind of some IMF, World Bank, all these loan institutions. They go to countries like Africa, MIPLA, and then all give them loan money, which Captain Ibrahim Traore put him all out. So long blame no got all stop yet. So kind of say me talk probably Alan Bed been exposed him this la IMF sponsored terrorism bill inside the parliament. So order law one law Prime Minister Blon law exceed la loan IMF to force him all member inside law House Parliament law passing this la bill, so it comes with conditions. So time will work this la probably it was a plain thing because all look at the uprising been corrupt law Burkina Faso, so they were thinking that okay online PNG must hold him all too. No got them no good but one can system back Kiraplia, because like what Ibrahim Traore is doing in Burkina Faso, it's spreading, it's spreading. That's why all African Parliament sittings they are using this as a case study, blueprint now. So it's Zambia, Botswana, they are talking in their parliament now about this. It's black uprising or third world, country uprising or look it up now. So who knows? While sponsoring the terrorism bill or parliament sponsored by IMF, because probably no good kind of uprising kiraplia. You see, we have a telecommunications minister which is Peter Siamalili, but when it came to that Facebook ban, instead of Peter Siamalili, no got go police minister. I mean, I don't understand that. Yeah, so leave your comments, drop your comments, whatever thinking you know about. You miss him like, okay, let's go.
Rather than exploit it, that is not rebellion. That is wisdom. Let it be known, no foreign power will dictate the alliances of Burkina Faso. We will build relations based on mutual respect, not historical guilt or present-day intimidation. Fight on terrorism and manufacture wars. You ask why there is violence in the Sahel. You ask why our youth take up arms. But you do not ask who benefits when our minds are guarded by private mercenaries, while our villages are left vulnerable. You do not ask how weapons arrive in deserts that produce no steel. You do not ask why peacekeeping never seems to end the war. The truth is, many of the so-called solutions to African security problems are merely business models. Endless conflict has become a market, and African suffering has become a subscription-based service.
So what is describing Lapem kind of all you have to keep in this like continent Africa in chaos, trouble, over time, so that all bagat and control him. It's like divide and conquer tactic. All what you supposed to got travel in Africa and zone free, people are united at one, but hard law control them all. But when there is conflict, different parties sectors of groups number the kind of MBC law come inside and controlling. So what is trying to tell us directly, I'm kind of more responsible or terrorists inside lab, I'm all west. There are layers in there, so like people who are doing these terrorist things to all line down the chain or command type, like they don't know anything. All thing also maybe it's like ideology blow all but there's someone in there, probably the CIA kind of saying about. So you may look him what he has to say.
Burkina Faso has decided to break that cycle. We will fight terror, but not with dependency. We will secure our nation not with foreign dictates, but with national dignity. 6 on migration and human dignity. We do not want our youth drowning in the Mediterranean. We do not want our brightest minds fleeing to countries that once called us savages. We do not want remittances. We want reasons for our people to stay. Why do our youth flee? Not because we lack beauty, but because we are made to lack opportunity. Not because we hate our land, but because our land is treated as someone else's property. Migration is not a crisis, it is a symptom of wars we did not start, of loans we did not need, of a world order that tells our youth their only value lies outside their own homes. The solution is not border fences. The solution is justice for 7 on Africa's place in the world. Africa is not a mistake to be fixed. Africa is not a failed continent. Africa is the womb of the world, the cradle of civilization, the keeper of tomorrow's hope. We have been made invisible in global decisions that affect us deeply.
Wait, me. Was it like, you see this president here, he doesn't read from the paper. Emsa hestale head blemson emsa tuk one kind of last week I'm going looking President Vladimir Putin the Russian come again. By looking, he just spoke out from his heart. It's straight from that. He doesn't look on the paper or note or whatnot. Everything is up in his head. He's a geologist by profession. I'm graduate of geology and then I went on the military academy, became a captain there, artillery officer, and I've been around in the country, fighting all wars inside lab, and he saw what's happening in his home country. Minerals all just come, Xingo, and he said, one day, time he grab the power, this is what I'm gonna do. So within 2 years, there's now like 20 plus project on the pipeline assembly, and within 2 years, I'm all run, finish, all go. This guy, yeah. Okay, let's continue.
At the UN Security Council, Africa with 54 sovereign nations has no permanent seat. What justice is this? You call it balance? We call it betrayal. You speak of democracy, yet uphold a global structure where the powerful few veto the dreams of the many. We will no longer whisper in rooms where we deserve to speak with full voice. Aid on faith and spiritual dignity. We are a spiritual people. Before your cathedrals, our ancestors sang to the sky. Before your missionaries, we knew the language of the rivers and the laws of the sacred forest. Christianity came, Islam came, and we received them not as slaves but as seekers. But now we ask, will the church and the mosque stand with us, truly with us, when all people are displaced by greed, mosque as globalization? Will your pulpits echo our cries or only repeat the songs of the powerful? Faith, too, must be decolonized. They must walk with the poor, not the privileged.
Whoa, wait. Islam talk, faith too must be decolonized. Big plus something I'm talking like kind of same. Planty me the PNG, you miss a look more white man and God, or kind of say, it's a kind of feeling, Tai look more by you look down low yet now. Kind of about they are everything to us. It's just normal. We just see it around. Yeah, but I mean, decolonize our mind. People are one kind, all to one kind of something. They are just human beings. You see knife, you cut him blood back outside. All peace, back, and one kind of semi blood soul. So, I mean, what he's saying here, decolonize our mind. Problem talk to you. I will buy you reading back Christianity too was a tool. Or carry come inside, people busy lotu, na kind of something else, or like Westerners just came, all start local business, grabbing more resource, na kind of. So that's why by looking more in communities, people black man or Papua New Guinea, by looking or you call a lotu or only on the gathering lotu or like Sunday, like everyone is into it, They give the full 100% potential, but when it comes to being self-sufficient, trying to business or one, but no. I'm not like people are too reluctant to do it. But you look at white man, they don't really bother about Christianity, church, or when you talk about business or money, it's in their head. That's the whole idea, man. Him to try to decolonize our mind, Think differently. No can look more more God, super and bambla luluk tamblon play it. I mean, this guy is bold enough to say those things against the UN or tribal hegemony. I mean, how the system is designed by Mr. Well there. He's breaking it free. So, you may go ahead. I mean, drop your comments too and let's talk, discuss things here.
On unity among African nations. This is not a speech from one country. This is the stirring of a continent. You see Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso forming a new bond. You fear our unity. Why? Because it threatens the myth that Africa can only rise under your supervision. We are uniting not to wage war, but to wage dignity. To pool our courage, to share strength, to protect each other when the world turns its back. Pan-Africanism is not a dream. It is our lifeline, and we will build it stone by stone, heart by heart, with or without your approval. To the youth of Africa, to the young boy selling oranges by the roadside, to the girl who walks 10 kilometers to attend school, to the child whose only toy is a stone but who dreams of stars. You are the reason we fight. Do not believe the lie that your continent is cursed. You are the blessing. Do not envy foreign passports. Be proud of your name, your land, your roots. The world may not applaud you now, but the future will speak your name in honor. 11 final words we will not kneel. I do not come to declare war, I come to declare will. So we will not kneel to fear. We will not kneel to foreign banks. We will not kneel to outdated empires masquerading as friends. Africa is not asking for a seat at your table. We are building our own a table where no child eats last, where no nation is silenced because it lacks nuclear arms, where justice is not filtered through the lens of race or history, but shared as breath is shared. This is our vision and this is our vow. Let the world hear it today and always. Africa will not kneel. Thank you.
Okay, guys, and video must finish now, but just leave our thoughts, sharing or thinking about one more opinion, come up and tell us. I mean, it's a very insightful segment you need to learn. So yeah, suppose you comment, subscribe, and you may look how you may discuss or something.